I'm Mo. It is March, and March is TBR month for me, and I have way too big of a TBR. Usually in March I'll do like a TBR organization, some TBR tags. I will update my spreadsheets and go through all of that behind the scenes, and I will also do all of my physical TBR video where I show you every book on my TBR. I did go through and organize my TBR this month and reconfigure some of my bookshelves and my TBR shelves and make everything look kind of nice, which is the video you're going to watch today. Today it's going to be my TBR organization video. But while I was doing that, I realized that there's no way that I'm going to be able to do all my physical TBR this year. Last year and the first year that I was on BookTube, my physical TBR fit for the most part all on one small bookshelf with 3 shelves. They definitely were double stacked. There definitely were piles all over the place, but for the most part they fit on one of those bookcases. Now I have 2 of those bookcases plus a third bookcase equaling about the same size of TBR. So I won't be doing all my physical TBR in March, but I will try throughout the year to do like all my this kind of books, all my that kind of books. So like in April I'll be doing all my NYRB books like I do every year, and I'll try to do all my sci-fi or all my vintage sci-fi or something else like that. So if there's a particular category of books or genre of books that you would like to see all the books that are on my physical TBR, let me know in the comments below so that I can prioritize those videos. Today we're going to look at all 3 of those bookshelves plus an extra auxiliary bookshelf that I just use for kind of staging of things. We're going to talk through the organization of them, and we're going to talk about how I organize my TBR, and we'll get to see a lot of the books on my TBR that way. Let me know how many bookshelves your TBR takes up. Let me know how many you wish it would take up. And now on to the organization. I decided to start with the hardest to reach shelf, which is the shelf kind of behind my desk. There's an awkward little space here, and it's where I keep all of my nonfiction books. So like I mentioned in my TBR tag, I do keep my books by people of color or marginalized authors separate from my other books, and I mix the genres in those shelves. So what I'm doing here is I'm working on moving any books by people of color that are nonfiction to be placed on those shelves. And then I started working on my mystery shelves. My mystery shelves are the top one that I'm touching there, as well as the shelves that I'm taking books off of. So I have 2 mystery shelves. You would think I have the most mystery books because that's my favorite genre, but actually those shelves aren't the largest because they're the shelves that I read from the most. Showing you some of my cat cozy mysteries, which I kind of have put on the edge of that shelf. I look at that shelf pretty often while I'm working at my desk, so I always get to look at the cat cozy mysteries and think about my next cat cozy mystery vlog. Here are those shelves that I was talking about that are reserved for authors of color, so I'm just rearranging those, trying to fit them all in. I had intended on doing a short story project at the end of last year, so I had divided all my short story books away, but just like with my nonfiction books, which I'm slotting in nonfiction books by people of color in here now, I wanted to divide short story books by those of authors of color and white authors and put them on their respective shelves. The reason that I divide my books by authors of color is that I want to always try to be reading around 50% of authors of color if I can for the year, and this helps me be able to easily choose what books I want from those authors. Moving on to my sci-fi shelf, I just have one sci-fi / fantasy shelf, and that's where I keep all of them. I recently found a really nice copy of The Left Hand of Darkness, so I'm showing you those and moving those around. Sci-fi is probably my actual smallest amount of books, even though I do read those quite often. I also don't pick them up as often. I'm a little bit more choosy with which sci-fi I pick up. One of my largest categories is literary fiction or general fiction, which I have here, and I'm just moving things around, organizing it, trying to get it into some kind of shape. I try to put my bigger books and large format books, hardcovers, towards the back, and then in the front shelves or on top, stacked on top of those, I try to put trade paperbacks, and in the very front of the shelf I try to put mass market paperbacks or small or oddly sized books.
And then what I usually will do for the front of the shelves as well is I'll put books that have some theme or that I want to be reading. So here I'm just putting back those mass market paperbacks, but on the bottom shelf, when I put books in front of these shelved books, when I put the stacked books, they're going to be books that are on a certain TBR. These ones are those short story collections that I was talking about. I still want to be reading more short story collections, so putting them on the front end like that is helpful for me to find. Then I have some Australian books, or books by Australian authors that I want to read in April. I have my Trans Girl Readathon pile of possibilities, and I have all my NYRB books. So those are not the most immediate books that I'm going to be reading, but I will be reading those in April. Here I'm just categorizing some of the books that I took from other shelves or am moving things around, reorganizing things. I like to reorganize my shelves every few months, but March is the big push. Here we have my finished shelves, and I have my DNFs and my project books. These are the red books from 2023 so far. Next, we have my mystery shelves. These are pretty full. I'm going to be reading a lot of mysteries in March, so some of these will go. On top of my mystery shelves are also plays and poetry, and then in the front section I have books that I want to read upcoming, like Acceptance and The Quantum Thief. These are my nonfiction shelves. So I have 2 of those, quite a few nonfiction books that I need to get to, and then more nonfiction books on my People of Color shelves, which are right here. I have some short stories to the front and then oddly shaped books. The rest are just mixed genre, except I have, on that bottom shelf, I have nonfiction to the right and short stories to the left. Then just a bunch of random books that I want to get to. Here's my sci-fi shelves, and in the front right of sci-fi I also have middle grade and young adult, which make up a very, very small little section. And finally, my literary fiction shelves or general fiction shelves with the April books on the front bottom of those. The last shelves that I have to talk about are these auxiliary shelves where I keep more project books like Try a Chapter and also my baseball books.
That was my TBR organization video and a little glimpse at my TBR shelves, a little TBR shelf tour. Let me know if you have as many books on your TBR as I do. Let me know how you store your TBR. Do you mix your TBR unread books with your read books? Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!